Hey everybody, Kerry Peabody, your long-term care insurance specialist here. Hope you're doing well today. So last week we talked a little bit about the four key parts of a long-term care insurance policy. Today we're going to tackle another question, and that is, how do I collect? What has to happen for me to get money out of this policy? I've been paying into it for 10 or 15 or 20 years now. What has to happen for me to qualify for benefits? Okay, so there are two ways that you go on claim with today's long-term care insurance policies. There's a physical trigger and there's a cognitive trigger. So first we're going to talk about the physical trigger. If you need substantial assistance, and I'll tell you what that is in just a minute, with 2 of 6 ADLs, okay, so 2 of 6 ADLs. What's an ADL? ADL stands for Activities of Daily Living. These are the 6 things that we get up and we do every day without thinking twice about them, okay? These are bathing, dressing, feeding, toileting, transferring, and continence. Transferring is just getting out of a bed and into a wheelchair. Continence is being able to maintain continence, bowel and bladder. Toileting is the hygiene related to maintaining that continence. And bathing and dressing, feeding are pretty straightforward. Now, 9 times out of 10, when people go on claims for ADL dependency, it's going to be bathing and dressing they need help with first, because those are the most physically demanding of those activities of daily living. Face it, if you're at the point where you can no longer feed yourself or get food into your body, there's a pretty good chance you haven't been able to bathe and dress yourself for quite some time. Now, in the old days, bathing and dressing were often combined into one activity, so it took longer to go on claim. It's actually fairly straightforward how you collect benefits on today's long-term care policies. So let's say I need substantial assistance with 2 of 6 ADLs, and this is going to be spelled out in any of the tax-qualified long-term care products out there. Substantial assistance, well, that's important wording. Again, in the old days, some policies required that you needed hands-on assistance with that activity of daily living. Somebody had to physically bathe you, they had to give you a sponge bath, or they had to physically pull your socks on for you. Not the case anymore. You might need that level of care, but you may just need standby assistance. So substantial assistance means standby assistance or hands-on assistance. So maybe I can get in and out of the shower myself and get on my shower chair and get cleaned up, but I need somebody there with me while I do that so I don't get hurt. Okay, so substantial assistance is either standby or hands-on assistance. You don't necessarily have to be at the point where somebody has to do the activity for you, but you need somebody there with you while you do it so you don't get hurt. So that's the first way you can go on claim, in substantial assistance with 2 of 6 ADLs. Now, very key point here, did I say you had to be sick? No, it's got nothing to do with a diagnosis. I don't have to have had a stroke that made me ADL dependent. I don't have to have severe rheumatoid arthritis that made me ADL dependent. I might just be 87. And because I'm 87, my balance and my coordination aren't what they used to be. I can't do it safely by myself. I need the assistance. So that's the first way you go on claim, is if you need substantial assistance with 2 of 6 ADLs. The second way you can go on claim is if I need substantial supervision. Okay, what does that mean? Well, because of a cognitive impairment of some kind, I'm at the point where I'm not safe by myself. To protect me and protect others, I need substantial supervision. Again, doesn't matter how you got there. It may be that you've got Alzheimer's disease. It may be you've got senile dementia. Maybe you were hiking and you fell and you hit your head on a rock, and because of that, you're cognitively impaired. Again, it doesn't matter how you got there, but you're impaired to the point where you're not safe without supervision. Those are the 2 benefit triggers for long-term care insurance, either 2 of 6 ADLs or substantial supervision due to a cognitive impairment. Now, there are a couple of caveats. First, the situation has to be chronic in nature. Well, what does that mean? That just means that the illness or disability is expected to last at least 90 days. Remember, this is long-term care insurance, not short-term care insurance, okay? And guess what? Medicare is going to be there to handle the short-term stuff. All this chronic requirement means from a practical standpoint is if I break my leg and I'm in a big heavy cast for 8 weeks, that's never going to trigger a long-term care claim. Okay, that's not what it's long-term care insurance is intended to cover. But if I've had a stroke and I'm chronically disabled, then that's going to be covered. Just different risks, if you will. Medicare is going to be there for the short-term stuff. Long-term care insurance is designed to cover the long-term stuff. So it's got to be chronic in nature, and the other caveat is there has to be a plan of care in place. Well, what the heck's a plan of care? That's just a roadmap to the care that you need. And depending on where you're going on claim and for what reason, that's going to come from a different source. If I'm leaving the hospital to go into the nursing home, the hospital discharge coordinator and the nursing home care coordinator are going to put together my plan of care. If I'm moving into an assisted living facility, then the assisted living people are probably going to help with my plan of care. If I'm just receiving home care, it's probably going to be the long-term care insurance company. Your loved one, your daughter, your son, or your spouse is going to call the carrier, say, I need help with this. They're going to help you put together the plan of care that's basically just a roadmap of the services you need and how often. So that's it. That's how you go on claim with long-term care insurance. Substantial assistance with 2 of 6 activities of daily living, usually bathing and dressing, or substantial supervision required because of a severe cognitive impairment. The situation has to be chronic in nature, and you got to have a plan of care in place. Not that complex. So I hope that was helpful. Keep your heads down and your spirits up, and we'll talk again soon. Take care. Bye.